Hi all, I welcome you all to the second part of the Deluge 101 session where we are discussing about various concepts of Deluge and how Deluge has been used in various products of Zoho's ecosystem. And today we are going to discuss about the various built-in functions and conditionals and operators. Let me take you through agenda of today's session. So as per the agenda, we'll be talking about the built-in functions first, and then we'll be talking about the operations and conditional statements. So for convenience of understanding, we have made a small change in the flow of the agenda. We'll be starting with conditional statements first. We'll be discussing what conditional statement is and how conditional statement actually works. And this will be followed by a detailed discussion on operators. And then we'll be moving to the built-in functions, and we'll understand how these built-in functions play a good role in implementing these conditional operators. So let us get started with conditional statements and operators first, and we'll move to the built-in functions of various data types so that we can come up with a few use cases which can be of fun. So before we get started with conditional statement, I want to show a small project which I whipped up for this session. So what I have done is I have written a smart budget approval request system. Okay. So this is only components. You can see we have employees, and the employees are in the role level 1, level 2, and level 3. And we have budget request where we'll be going and raising the budget, and based on the budget amount, the number of approvals has to be allocated automatically, right? So that's the process every company or every organization follows. If the budget amount is up to certain limit, it can be approved by level 1 person. But if it goes beyond a limit, we may need extra person to approve it. And if it goes beyond that, we may need few more people to approve that request, right? So what I did is I just implemented a small conditional state. So if I can take you to the script, this is the only script which I have written, and that script also is just for 15 lines of code. And this 15 lines of code is powerful enough to provide us with a dynamic approval system. So I'll show you that. Okay. Uh, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a budget request. So we'll say Tango be the project, and the company name be Zulka. Date of commencement will give today's date, and the date of closure will give it in 3 days, with the budget amount be 40,000. So as per our condition, if the budget is less than 50,000, there is only one person who is going to approve it. So I'm going here, I'm clicking on submit. So you can see I'm not selecting any approvers. I'm leaving the system to decide it for itself. Okay. If I click on submit, you can see Mark has been added as approver. Let us try to add one more. And this time we'll say Charlie, and company name is Zulka. Commencement is here, and disclosure is the same, and the budget request to be 80,000. If I click on submit now, you can see it has added one more level of approval because the budget limit is between 50,000 and 2K, 50K and 200K. That is the limit in which we have. So there are two people who are going to approve it. And if I add a budget request more than 200K, I'll say Delta, company name is Zulka. Let us put the data closure and budget amount to be beyond 200K. If I click on submit, the system automatically assigns 3 different people for approval, right? So you can see just with 15 lines of codes, we are able to come up with a smart system which is handling a complex process for us. Normally, this automation of this kind of approvals takes a huge effort, right? Uh, and this is like a simple plain system. So we can add few more conditional logics and come up with a very strong system. I remember we have designed a system where we had a custom approval flow which will automatically reroute itself based on the employee's availability. Let us say there's a chain of four people who has to approve, and the level 2 person is on leave. The system automatically understands either it gets delegates itself to someone who is equal to level 2, or it skips level 2 and moves to level 3. Such complex actions have been handled using Deluge. So that's the power of the conditional statements here. So now let us go ahead and understand the conditional statements.
Normally, whenever as a human we try to learn something, we take or we learn our path by making a series of decisions. There are a lot of no, and there will be one yes, which will be optimal for our expected outcome. Right. So how can a program learn that? So normally whenever we are given a scenario, we will be analyzing them in multiple angles, and we'll come up with a series of decisions, and we go out with the one which is possible. But computers perform the actions which they are programmed to do. They do exactly what they are told to do. But how can we make our program smarter, or how can we make a program to make a decision at this scenario? That is where the conditional statements comes into play. So the conditional statements are nothing but a batch of code which will be validating a particular scenario or a condition. And if that condition is met, we'll be executing a branch of code. And if it is not met, we'll be simply ignoring and moving to a different set of actions. So let us understand how the conditional works. So in this very example, you can see when the process meets a condition, it's checking if the condition is true or not. If the condition is true, the code is executing a block of code which is written inside the conditional function. If not, the code skips that particular block and proceeds to the next step. This is called as the conditional operation, and this operation gives more smartness to our program and allows us to automate our project or automate our business process using this software very easily. Let us understand the conditional statements. So they help the program to make decisions based on a specific criteria, and the criteria, if it's not met, it will be false. So by default, if the condition is not met, we will be having the boolean value of false, but only when the condition is met, we will be given the boolean value of true. And inside the conditional program, we would have written a small piece, or we would have written a logic which is to be executed, and once the condition is met, that logic will get executed. If the condition is not met, the program will simply skip the logic and move forward. We have a specific syntax for various statements, and all those syntaxes has to be followed inside the conditional statements as well. So let us start with the if statement. So we'll be giving a criteria, and if the criteria is met, the code inside that if blocks get generated executed. Okay, if the criteria is not met, the program actually skips out the block and moves to the next phase. So that is the if condition. Let me show you a demo before we get into the else if part. Let me zoom in. Here you can see I'll say x equal to 10. Now let us go ahead and implement a if statement. I'll say if x is less than 10. Sorry. The colon type comes with Python, I'm sorry. So if x is less than 10, then we'll say info the number is lesser. Okay, so this is a simple if condition, right? So where you can see we have a condition. I'll try to rearrange the code. We have a if statement, we have a condition which is validating a certain scenario, which validates if the given condition is less than 10 or not. If it is there, then it will go ahead and say yes, it's a lesser number. Okay, now If I execute, you can see there's nothing happening. The reason behind is the condition has not been met. We have given the x value should be less than 10, but we have given the value of x as 10. If we change the condition, save and execute, we can see now the system says the value of x is less than or equal to 10 and executes the code inside our if block. So this is how the if blocks gets executed. So we can do complex logics check based with the help of conditional operators, which is coming in the next part of the session. So let us also discuss about else if condition. There are scenarios where we may have to understand, or where we may have to check more than one scenario at a time, right? So there'll be multiple conditions, and we'll be branching out our programming based on the criteria which we are meeting. Using those multiple checks can be done with the help of else if condition. So the else if condition always comes after the if statement. Okay, if the if condition fails, then the else if criteria gets executed. If the else if criteria is also not met, the program simply skips that block and moves. Okay, I'll give you a demo of the else if condition as well. So here, let us say x is less than 10, so we'll give the number is lesser, and we'll say else if x is equal to 10. Okay, we'll say info number is equal. Now if I execute, you can see it is saying number is equal. Here you can see the if condition failed. So x equal to 10, the first if condition failed and the logic got the second if condition. So that is where the execution happened. And here's one other thing. An else if condition cannot exist without if condition. Okay. Similarly, we can have multiple else if conditions. So I'll replicate it. Okay. So you can see I'm giving same criteria for all the else if condition. If any one of the criteria is met, the first criteria once it met, it will not execute the second. So I'll show you. Number is equal, and I'll give it as 1, and I'll give it as 2. In this very logic, you can see the criteria x equal to 10 will be true at this else if condition. So the program stops there and exits out of this if conditional block and moves to the next step. I'll also give info I am here. So this info I am here is outside the else if conditions, right? So let us execute this now. Here you can see the program checks first if condition, it fails. The second if condition, it succeeds. So it comes out of the if else block and executes the rest of the program. So the reason behind that is once the program finds a suitable matching criteria in the if condition, it exits the conditional check. It will not check the remaining conditions. We can have 100 else if, but if the criteria is met on 5th or 6th else if, the program exits the conditional check branch and proceeds with the normal programming. I'll show you that it's as well. So let us say we'll put it as 11. Now the if condition fails, first if else fails, and then we have the second else if. If I run it, you can see number 1 is executed, but number 2 is not. It skips out and comes to the other part of the program. This is with the else if condition. Then comes the else condition. So the else condition actually is the final or default value which happens when nothing matches. Let us say an example. We update the value of x to be 15. In this case, none of these criteria will be met. If I run it now, we can see the entire if block is skipped and the remaining program is getting executed. But there are scenarios where we may need a default bucket or default execution process which is to be handled if none of the criteria is met. In that case, we'll go for a else statement. We'll say else info no match. We execute. Here you can see when none of the criteria, none of the if condition, none of the if else condition is met, the else condition gets triggered. That is how the if else and else condition works. Okay, let us try to understand the else condition. So whenever the if condition and else if conditional statement fails, the else condition occurs, and the else statement, if present, must always be the last of the conditional statement. So this is the order which has to be followed. Anytime when we are trying to implement a conditional statement, it should start with a if, followed by else if. We can have n number of else if, and at the end, if we want, we can place a else. The conditional can have only one if condition, one else condition. The if condition should be the start. We can have n number of else if, and finally we can have the else condition. That's only one else condition. Okay. We have conditional ifs. So conditional ifs are like shorthand ifs. If I can say, you can see I'll remove everything. I'll remove up to this point. You can see we have written 4 lines of codes, right? So we have written if x less than 0, else. So the same can be written as shorthand. I can say y equal to if x less than 10, then I'll say yes, else no. So this is a shorthand version of this condition which we are checking. So we are doing the expression check first. We are providing the success value as the first and the failure value as the second. We save, and if I info y, execute, you can see I've been provided with the output no, and the no match is also triggered, the same condition. Okay, so here under the else condition we have written no match. Here under the conditional if we have given no. Let us go ahead and change the value of x to 9. Save and execute. You can see the number is lesser, and we have also got the output as yes. If we are just implementing a if condition alone and if else condition alone, we can go for this shorthand if. The shorthand if should have an expression followed by the success value and the failure value. So the success value is if the criteria is met, failure value is if the criteria is not met. Okay. So the first value will be the success criteria, and the second value will be the failure criteria. And we also have if null. We can check if a given criteria is null or not. So there are scenarios where we may have to handle the null statement, and in that case we will say if null of x, then 0, or we will say yes. Okay, so this is how the things work. Let's give it a try. I'll comment everything. I'll comment X as well. And we'll info Z. Let us execute. Okay. So here you can see whenever we are achieving a null value or whenever we are meeting a null value here, we will be provided with the option to handle that null value into a zero value or any value which we want to provide. So this is with the if null. So the null value, it checks the first condition. If the first condition is null, actually it goes ahead and executes the second condition. If the first value is not null, the first value will be returned. Okay. Now let us understand the criteria. We have used criteria extensively. We have used it to check the if condition. We had used it to check the if else condition and all. Let us understand the criteria a bit better. The criteria always works with the help of the conditional operators. Criteria can be mathematical, logical, relational, or any nature depending on the business logic. Okay, mostly it uses the conditional operators for its functionality. So, how do a program understand a criteria? So that's where the operators comes into play. Okay. Let us take a look at the operators. Operators are symbols that tells a programming language to perform certain data. So here we have used less than operator. We have used assignment operator here. So there are multiple types of operators which is available in programming language, and we'll take a look at them in detail. The operators play a major role in making the decisions. Okay, so they are arithmetic, assignment, logical, and relational. So the arithmetic operators, to give an overview, they are used to perform actions on new numbers, as the name suggests. The assignment operators are used to assign values. The logical operators are used to compare, and the relational operators are used to relate or add one or more operators together. This is the example of arithmetic operators. So let us go ahead and take a look at them. Okay, I'll remove all. We'll say x equal to 5 and y equal to 10. Info x plus y. And if we execute, you can see we are getting the output as 15. So this is the arithmetic operator. So there are certain operators which can be used on other data types as well along with arithmetic operators. For example, the plus symbol can be used on string data type as well as a concatenation operator, and minus operator as well sometimes can be used on the datetime functions as well. But the multiplication, division, modulus, they are specific for numbers. Okay. So that is with the arithmetic operator. Most commonly used data type for arithmetic operator are decimal, big int, strings only when there is an additional operator, and timestamp only when there is the addition or subtraction operator. Okay. Then comes the assignment operator. There are two kinds of assignment operators, simple and compound. So let me take you to the example. Here you can see we have a simple assignment operator. So x equal to 5, y equal to 10, and this is followed by a arithmetic operator plus. What if I'll say x plus equal to y? Here, if I execute is again, the same answer will be provided. Okay, so here you can see we have made an additional operation along with the assignment operator. So this is known as the compound operator. So if I try x plus equal to y, and if I execute now, you can see the value of y is added to x, and then we are infoing the value. So this is how the uh, assignment operator works. So there are two types of assignment operators. One is the simple assignment operator, and the other one is the compound assignment operator. When it's compound, it actually performs certain action along with the assignment operator. Okay. These are this is the example of a simple assignment operator. As we saw, we just provide a value to a variable. Okay, so there will be a variable name in the left hand side and the value in the right hand side, which is equalized with the or associated with the assignment operator. And similarly, we have compound operators where we have arithmetic operators provided uh, before the assignment operator. So the left hand value will actually perform all the arithmetic operations and assign itself with the right hand value. So as we have seen here, so when we say x plus equal to y, the value of y is actually added to the value of x, and we are providing the result. And these are the types of compound operators which are available. So we have plus equal to, minus equal to, multiplication equal to, division equal to, and modulus equal to. And the data types applicable for the assignment operators are all the data types. So the plus equal to, that is only for string, big int, and decimal, and the rest of the arithmetic assignment operators are applicable only for the big int and decimal data types. Okay, and then comes the relational operators. The relational operators are used to compare two values, and output of any relational operator is always a Boolean value. Okay, so these relational operators are mostly used in the conditional statements, the lesser than, greater than, lesser than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Whenever we are trying to implement a condition or a smart check in our programs, we will be using these lesser than these conditional operators in our code. It will make our program much smarter. Okay. Then we have logical operators. The logical operators are used whenever we are trying to validate multiple criteria. So let us say we'll try to implement a if condition. I'll remove this. We'll say if x is less than y, info x. Okay, sorry. Again, okay. I'll just bring this info statement inside, save, and if I execute, you can see actually x value is less than 5, so it is providing me with the value of 5. If I am going for a logical operator where I can validate multiple criteria, I'll say if x is less than y and x modulus of 2 equal to 0, which means x should be an even, right? And now if I execute, so it is saying, okay, sorry, it's not and, it's double ampersand. I'm really sorry, I'm confusing Deluge with Python coding. So now you can see the criteria is not met. Although x is less than 5, x modulus of 2 is not equal to 0, and hence the value of x is not equal to 0, not uneven. So the if condition is getting skipped and no value is getting displayed to us. If we say is not equal to 0, save and execute. Here you can see then x is an odd value and both the criteria are met, so we are provided with the output. So this is with the logical operator. So we have overall Boolean value returned, and this depends on the logical operator which is used to do validate individual conditions. Normally the conditional statements use the logical operators as well. We have and, or, not. Okay, so and is used when both the conditions which we have mentioned or all the conditions which we have mentioned have to be met. Or is used when any one of the conditions which we have mentioned is met, and not is usually done when there's only one condition and we have to work out on a scenario where the condition is not met. Okay, so that is with the and, or, and not. And this is the truth table for and, or not. So only when all the conditions are true, the output will be true. If either one of those conditions are false, we'll get our output as false. And in on and case, but when it is for or, if any one of the condition is true, we'll get a true as a output. If all the conditions are false, then we'll be getting the false as output. But when it comes to not, if the condition is true, then we'll be getting the output as false, and if the condition is false, we'll be getting the output as true. And let us now talk about the built-in functions and how we can use the built-in functions to implement the conditional statements we have created. For this, we'll be starting with our string data types. Okay, the string data types are more prominently used. We have string, numbers, date, collection. Okay, so let us understand how we are achieving this. So let us start with the string data type. I'll remove everything. So we'll say main string is equal to welcome to Zoho creator. Okay, and we will say substring equal to Zoho. Now I want to check if main string is available in substring or not, and if the main string has substring actually, then we'll be taking them through a extra set of code. So I'll say if mstring dot contains substring, then we'll say info Yes. Say, if I execute, you can see the main string actually contains a substring. The word Zoho is there. So it is saying, yes, it is available. Similarly, if I go and say, change the case, and if I try now, you can see there's nothing. Let us add a else condition as well. Else info no. Save and execute. Here you can see, since the case of the substring is not matching with the main string, okay, we will be putting it as no. There are scenarios where we may have to make these validations. For example, let us take a registration form. If we want to segregate the business users from the normal users, 90% of the time the business users will be using their official mail IDs, right? So we can check if the given input is a mail ID or not, and also check if the given input has certain words like Gmail, Yahoo, Reddit in their mail. So if they have these mail IDs, we can ask them one extra step saying, hey, are you a business user? You are using a Gmail ID. I would like to know, are you a business user or are you a normal user? Maybe the business users may be entering their personal mail ID, right? So those kinds of validations can be done with the help of this contents. Similarly, now you can see we have got no as an answer, but Zoho is there in this M string, right? How can we validate? So it's not mandated that every time everyone has to follow the same case. And if I make the M string as lower, then again they may provide me with the uppercase or the camel case. In that case, I have one more option, which is ignore case. Substring dot ignore case. We have ignore case option. I'll do one more thing. X equal to ignore case of substring. And okay, we have equals ignore case of substring. So now we will know if the substring has the case irrespective of the okay, this is equal ignore case. If I think it will not provide the expected output. So M string is not equal to, I'll simply say contains ignore case. If we try this, so here you can see it is providing me with the option saying yes, this case sensitiveness of substring has been ignored, and this value is available in the em string option. Okay, so that is with the ignore case, and we have a huge application for these two combinations. Like I said, the mail ID validation is one. We can also have registrations form where we may check for specific criteria, right? So let us say we want to check a few keywords which are available in a essay type answer. We can simply go ahead and put those keywords in a list, iterate them, and understand if those keywords are there. And based on that, we can provide automated ratings. We also have the trim function. So let us say I have a few white spaces. Okay. Now if I execute it, I'll get no as a value. But still, Zoho is there. So the only thing is it's having more white space. So all I can do is trim. The trim function removes all the white spaces before and after. So it actually it eases a lot of our work. So normally when we are doing the development, so there will be scenarios where we may specifically have to handle the white spaces in the front and back. So that has been handled with Zoho. So here you can see the white spaces trailing and leading that particular word has been removed, and only the desired output has been checked. So the white spaces actually creates a lot of problems. There will be users who by mistakenly provide a white space in the front or in the back, and will get a data which is not matching any criteria, right? So that can be achieved over here. And then we have a write pad. So the write pad is a very interesting concept. So let us say Z is an empty string, and we want to add a few white spaces. So I'll say Zoho. We'll take the example of S string as well. S string dot write pad. I'll say 10. Info S string. Save, and if I execute, write pad function needs to be assigned to a variable. X equal to, I'll say info x. Execute. So here you can see it is not providing us with any value right now. I'll try to convert this into a list. Dot to list. So we can see the spaces which has been added. So if I execute, you can see after Zoho is I have said 10. So there should be 10 spaces on together. Zoho, that concept 4, 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Right? So that is the use of write pad. So why do we have to do that? So the write pad has a lot of functionalities. It's used to trim trim the unwanted spaces which are there, and in case it is mandated for some strings to be of certain length, we can use a write pad to implement the mandation. Okay. Then we have numbers. Numbers we normally understand. So numbers have a lot of inbuilt functions. All the functions which are there in Deluge can be viewed here. So under this Deluge tryout, we have these functions where we have mentioned all the functions which are included in our Deluge operations. We have number functions. Similarly, we have date time, we have collections, everything. So in number functions, let us understand a few prominent ones. I'll take you to the functions itself, the number functions. So this absolute is used to get the value of the number irrespective of its sign. It may be a positive integer or a negative integer. Irrespective of that, we will be getting the absolute value. And then we have cos, sine, tan, log, max, minimum. Okay. So let us say I'll try to implement the max value. So go ahead, go for it, and I'll initiate a list variable. Let me zoom in. I'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you'll say info max x dot. Let us work it out here. It will be easier for us. Okay. So here you can see it provides us with maximum value of comparison. So normally works when we are trying to iterate through the list, right? So if we want to find the maximum value, we can either do the logical operator, right, if condition and all, or we can iterate through the value, pass each and every value through the max condition and save that to the output. Thereby we are getting the maximum output. Okay. And we also have the option to check if a given value is numeric or not. So let us assume we are getting a numeric output via text field. Let's say x equal to 10. So this x equal to 10 actually is a string, since it has been enclosed within double quotes. But we want to check if the value inside that string is a numeric or not. We can say info x dot is numeric. Okay, you can see the value of x is returned as true because the value inside that string is number. There may be some scenario where we may have to collect the input as a number or as a string, although it's a number. So in that case, we can check if the given value is a number or not, and then we can go ahead and let us say we are getting a number, and we'll say 10.9877678. So this is a decimal value, and I don't want it to be this long. I want only 2 digits after decimal. So I can go ahead and say round off. I'll say 2. If I execute now, you can see the last values are being rounded off to 2 decimal places, and I'm provided with the answer. Okay, so this is with the number data type for inbuilt functions for number data types. We have a lot more. We can have a detailed discussion on them. Let us understand the date data types. The date data types play a major role when we are trying to implement a business logic. So let us say I want to check a future date. Only when the date is future I want it to allow. And I want to handle this logically. So how can we do that? We'll say info, or we'll get a date first. X equal to 10, 10, 20, 22. This is a string. If it is enclosed within a double quotes, it's a string. If it's in a single quotes, it's a date. Now, I'll say if this value is positive or it's a future date or a previous or past date. Okay, I'll say if Zoho dot current date. So the Zoho dot current date is actually how to say this Zoho dot current date actually provides you the current date of the execution. Okay, so let us say it's executed today. You will be provided with the with today's date. If it is executed tomorrow, it will provide you with the tomorrow's date. So whenever it is executed, the date of that particular day will be provided to us. And I'll say days 360 of X. So what I'm doing is I'm checking the difference between today's date and the previous date, and I'll say if it is greater than 0, info upcoming. If I execute, there will be nothing, because if I info this, if I take it here, if I info, save, and if I execute, you can see this is not greater than 0, and I can give you the actual value as well. Save and execute. I've been provided with the value 0, days 360 of X. 10, 10, 20, 22, that is yesterday. Okay. Okay, so let us change this value to 2020. Save and execute. Sorry, I gave the date which is so close, and that's why there's no difference. The So now you can see there is a negative 370 days. So the date which I have given is a past date. And using this logic, we can understand a lot of things. So the one best example is any certifications which you provide, right? So the certification will have a max validity of 1 year, 2 year, depending on the date of generation of the certification and the time at which we are checking. We can calculate the difference and find out whether the certificate is valid or not. If the certificate is not valid, then we can go ahead and say if the certification is not valid, then we can say sorry, the certification is not valid anymore, and we can update the status of that certificate as well, right? So that is one example where this date difference comes into play. And there are scenarios where we may have to add business days. So let us say I'm providing you a link for the certification. So Zoho has a lot of certification, and I'm generating a link. And I'll say I have two options. Either I can say I'll give you 30 days to complete the certification, which comprises of Saturdays and Sundays, right? So if when we say 30 days, 8 days goes in Saturdays and Sundays in a normal month. And if it's a 5-week month, we'll go like 10 days will be off, right? In that case, we can say I'll give you 30 business days. So if I say 30 business days, it will actually ignore the Saturdays and Sundays and provide me only with the business days which are available. So let us take a look at that. Okay, we'll say info x dot add day of 30. Okay, similarly info x dot add business day of 30. If we see the difference, if I execute now, you can see when we are adding 30 days, normally it is providing me with 9th November. It is including all the Saturdays and Sundays which are there. But when I say add business day, it is taking me to November 20th. It is ignoring all the holidays and it's ignoring all the Saturdays and Sundays and providing me with the output of November 20. Depending on the use case which we are trying to achieve, we can go ahead and implement them. And then we also have the collection. So the collection is the key value pair or the index value pair, which is whichever data type which we are trying to provide. And let us assume a collection. So let us say we'll have name Surendra, email xoxo at d.com. Okay, now we have a collection. So let us insert a additional key to it. X dot insert. We'll say age, and we will say 32. Now if we info x, we can see age has been added to this collection. So this is one of the inbuilt data types. We have a lot of other data types as well. So dot contains key. So contains key of age. Save, and if we execute, yes, the key age is available in that particular info. Right. So that is how we can use the inbuilt data types. And the data types which the functions which I have shown you are like minimal ones. There are a lot of functions which are available. You can see all the functions in the Deluge tryout section. Okay, so you can practice all the functions and get familiarized with Deluge over here. So with this, we are coming to the end of day 2 of Deluge 101. And in our upcoming session, we are going to learn how Deluge can be used in Zoho Creator. As we all know, Zoho Creator is a custom application builder where we can use a drag and drop platform to build complex application. We'll be talking about how we can use Deluge in Zoho Creator and how we can achieve our custom business logics using Deluge. We'll be talking about custom functions as well, as we have discussed built-in functions in detail. We would know how to write our own functions and use that inside our workflows. We'll be talking about manipulation of data, how we can fetch data from one form and transfer that to another, and how we can update a record, or how we can create a new record in a different form and all. This will be followed by the lookup concept in Deluge. We'll be discussing about what lookup is, how lookup works in Deluge, and what is the significance of lookup, and how we can actually handle a lookup field with the help of Deluge. So with this, I close the session today. I hope to see you all in the session 3 of our Deluge 101. Thank you.